Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video and some more F1 2020 League Racing content. Now, today's video is not your regularly scheduled AOR content, and the reason for that is because this past weekend gone by, AOR, my league, which I race in Top Split, is on a break week. Therefore, there's not a Grand Prix. So, I got in contact with a few people, and I've got a few connections, and there was a spot available in probably the most competitive league on F1 2020 period, and that is the Online Racing League ORL, and it's on the PC side of things, and it features probably the most stacked grid there is in any form of league race. Now, I expected originally to be in the second tier, but I got in contact with them and they wanted me in Top Split for this race, and boy oh boy, the caliber of driver in this league is insane. Now, it does often change quite a lot from race to race, but for this particular race, it was actually quite competitive. So I'm going to run you guys through the grid and some of the drivers in this. In the background, you can see the footage of the race highlights of the race, but let's jump into the grid. So as you can see on screen right now, I've made a bit of a custom graphic, and these were the 10 drivers that I recognized who were quick. Now, this is their real life names, of course. In game, in the video, they've got their different names on their accounts, but for you guys to realize before the video starts, we've got Jono Otmir, of course. You guys know him. He's leading the championship right now in F1 Esports, and he's looking like the man to beat. He's in this race today, along with James Baldwin, the world's fastest gamer. His teammate in McLaren Shadow, Danny Moreno, as well, racing here today, along with Tomek Podadzic, or Veloce Hypers, as you guys may know him as. He's a McLaren Shadow Academy driver, so he's also part of the F1 Esports fold. We've then got Nicolas Longuet as well for Renault Vitality, along with his teammate Fabrizio Donoso. So again, a really stacked field. We've then got Tianyu Tang, who is the F1 Esports Chinese Series World Champion. So he won the series last year and he's the defending champion, so I'm curious to see how he gets on. This is also his debut actually in this league, so it's going to be quite interesting. We've got Bent Zabo, who I used to race with in Veloce, I believe. I think he's Photon, if I'm not mistaken, and he was actually an ex-Pro Draft candidate on the F1 Esports Series, along with Nicolas Mateo, and also Matthias Colagon, who in-game is called Hayes, who's actually part of Veloce Esports as well. So we've got a grid of at least 10 drivers here who are involved or have been involved in F1 Esports in some way, shape or form, and usually there's been other drivers in this series as well. I believe Marcel Keith has raced in RL as well, also a few other drivers as well. So it's a really competitive league, and all 10 of these guys are going to be on the grid for this race, so I'm looking forward to it. So guys, something different, the toughest league race of my life. We're going to see how we get on. If you guys are going to enjoy the video, smash the like button. Let's see if we can try and hit maybe 750 likes for this video, and subscribe for more weekly league racing content on my channel. Here we are then in qualifying, and it's a shame things didn't go as planned in this, because I did about an hour's worth of practice, maybe a bit more, with Jono Otmir before the lobby started, and of course Jono's part of Veloce with me, and he messaged me saying, do you want to do some practice? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's get on with it. So we've done a good amount of laps to get some good feeling with the car, some good practice, and it was working well. In the draw I had really good pace, but to my surprise, there was a lot of rain in store in both qualifying and the race. So I've actually gone for a wet setup. I've put a bit more aerodynamic on the car, a bit more front and rear wing, and I'm hoping that's going to help me out in terms of giving me a bit of stability in the wet conditions. In the meantime though, I went out on the soft tyres, and I was tempted to finish a lap, but I actually decided to abort the lap, and the reason for that is because there was rain expected in the race, and if you start the soft tyres, you're probably going to be on the back foot, and I didn't have any mediums available because I went for the softer, aggressive strategy. Had I finished my lap, I would have gone P6 ahead of Tomek on the soft tyres, but again, that would have put me on the back foot in terms of race strategies. I thought to myself, you know what? It's my first race in this league. I'm only stepping in as a one-off, as a reserve driver for this one event. Then next weekend we're back in AOR. So I thought to myself, you know what, let's just start from the back and see how it goes. There was a couple of drivers who didn't set laps in the intermediate conditions, so there were a few places for me to gain. And you can see now as we cross the line, we go P17, and that's the highest we're going to finish, because everyone above that has set a lap on dry tyres. And to be fair, I was just circulating, getting a feel for the wet conditions, because the race was going to have rain as well. So everyone went back out there, just trying to get comfortable in these conditions. And to be fair, the wet setup worked pretty well for us, because I was actually pretty quick, and out of the intermediate runners, I was actually the fastest one, which was great. So there was some positive signs to take, maximising what we could out of the session, not starting last. You can see here 2 personal bests, first and second sectors, and now going into sector 3. This is where I had a bit of a messy section before. and I was able to actually do a pretty good lap this time around. We're currently P18. Lucas has managed to just overtake me in terms of position, so I'm going to try and get him back, as he's of course one of my rivals on the intermediates. You can see through there we gain about 0.2 of a second as cars start to retire now as we end the session. And I'm just making my way now through the final couple of corners here, about to end my lap. The final corner, we absolutely nailed it, by the way. Really, really nicely done. The traction wasn't perfect, but still a good lap nonetheless. And we improved by roughly 0.3 of a second, and we do take back our P17. So there's going to be it for us in qualifying. You know, that's all we could do considering the weather conditions. And yeah, to be fair, like I said, the wet setup was working well, and that's mainly what I was trying to figure out and see if it was worth it or not. So you can see here on screen the final qualifying results from that session. So Jan Artmere starts from pole. Baldwin starts in second place. Corny, who I've raced with before in AOR in the past, he's in third place ahead of Nicolas Mateo and Danny Moreno. Then it's Tomic Prodigish, P6, Veloce Hypers. Then it's Nicolas Longue, P7, ahead of Alessio Di Capua, who I've recently raced with in AOR top split. And then we've got Fabrizio Donoso, P9, ahead of Tian Yutang, running out the top 10. And then it's Vallejo in P11, ahead of Kevin, Mode Sweat, Ben Zarbo, and Camille Common, who of course I also raced with in AOR recently. And then myself, Hayes, Lucas, and Falcon Nardi at the back of the grid, my teammate. So there's your grid. I was quickest of the intermediate qualifiers, which was great. And like I said, we've got about 10 F1 Esports drivers, give or take, in this, which is pretty insane. So we're going to get into the race. And like I said, rain is expected, so it's going to be a fun one. So let's get this race underway. Here we go then. It's time for the French Grand Prix here in ORL. And you can see on screen the weather forecast. We've got dry conditions to start with, and then rain later on. And this is what I meant by people on the soft tyres might be in trouble, because if they can't stretch the softs long enough, then you're going to have to pit, and that's going to, you know, put you a long way back. So it's going to be tricky. Soft tyres go about 10 laps at max around here. Absolute like max 10 laps, so it's going to be tricky for those guys, but we're going to start of course on the medium. So let's jump into it, and here we are then at the end of the formation lap, just making sure the tyre temperatures are right in that sweet spot. And to be fair, done a pretty good job. All my tyres were around 90 degrees Celsius, and we're going to see what kind of start we get. If I can make up a few places early on, we've got a few cars on hard tyres around us as well. If I can get to that top 15, top 14, I think I could be in a good position, because then we've got a lot of guys on soft tyres who might have to stop. So here we go then. The lights are coming on for the French Grand Prix, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go. And look at that, the AlphaTauri there of Ben Zarbo, not off to a particularly great start. We get him and also Camille Common as well, and straight up the P15 for us down towards turn 1. So a good start off the line on the medium tyres. Easy does it through there as everyone locks up, and it's easy to lose your front wing. Around the outside of turn 2 we go, just trying to edge ahead of Camille in the Williams, down towards turn number 4, and then around the outside we go. We get hit in the back, and then now again hit in the side. There's a couple of spinners up ahead, and that bit of contact there actually gave me wing damage. We'll confirm that in a moment. We get pushed off the track again there by Camille through the right-hander, and I'm going to have to slot in behind. I'm going to try and get a bit of a switchback on him through here, but I quickly realised because of the wet setup I was very slow on the straight, and I was severely lacking straight line speed. And look at this, Ben Zarbo behind, looking for the move here as we go into the chicane. I'm going to have to let him go because I can't go too late on the brakes, but we just about managed to hold on actually, even though I left the inside wide open. But on the exit here, again, I was a bit compromised. The line wasn't right. You can see my front wing damage in the bottom right there. I've got a light green front right end plate, and here comes the AlphaTauri then down the inside. I didn't fight it too much because again I realised I've got wing damage, so it's kind of pointless really defending. The annoying thing, Camille of course is on the hard tyre, so he's not going to be that quick, so we need to try and get by. But of course, you know, me having wing damage, that's kind of shot me in the foot, so I'm a bit torn in terms of what to do. I don't have the best grip. There's a lot of understeering, especially at this kind of level. You know, the caliber of these drivers, that little bit of wing damage is making a big difference to my pace, especially through the low speed corners like that one right there. I was getting a lot of understeer, but nonetheless we end lap 1 and we're P15, so we have gained 2 places on the opening lap. Could have been at least P13. I think we should have got Common and Ben Zarbo there for 13th place at best, and hopefully had a full front wing. But we're going to catch a quick replay of the start as we get our first warning for track limits, because it's a real shame. We had Camille to the right hand side. I believe it was just him. There was no one else there. We run 3 wide. I get hit in the rear right there, and now going through this right hander, Camille just understeers wide. I know there's a spinning AlphaTauri up ahead, but there's loads of room. I just feel like I got clattered by Camille, and that bit of contact right there was what gave me the wing damage. So a bit unfair really, and I wasn't happy about that because I don't think we were 3 or 4 wide. It was literally me and him, and he completely just pushed me off the track, as he did again right here just giving me no room whatsoever. We're completely side by side, and I thought I deserved a bit more room than that, but in the end I got wing damage and I got no space on track. So a real shame, because had I got through that, I could have been P13 with a full front wing and right in the mix. But instead, here we are, Benzabo and Camille battling away, and this is allowing the cars up ahead to pull away, which is not good, because the DRS around here is very effective, very powerful, and the DRS train is where you need to be. So you can see the two guys up ahead are battling quite heavily. You can see the cars up in the distance just pulling away, and this is costing us all time. Even I feel I'm actually quicker than both of these guys. I've just got to try and get past. So here we are, looking for a move on Camille, and I've got a lot more corner speed. Even with the wing damage, I'm a lot quicker. I lack a bit of straight line speed though, but here we are, making our way into the final couple of corners, currently on for a personal best. You can see I'm getting a bit of understeer there with the wing damage and the dirty air as well, and it was really, really hurting me. But now through the final corner, we actually get some great traction, and I thought about going for the move on Camille here, but again, I don't want to lose DRS on Benzabo, so I'd rather just wait and try and get him somewhere else. And to be fair, I was quite surprised, because now through turn 2, we get a brilliant exit here, and we get very close to the back of the Williams, but we swoop to the inside and make the move, and we're going to go down the inside here. I leave plenty of room, and I cut the corner in the process, just trying to make sure we have space to go too wide. So that is my second warning now for track limits, and eventually we get the inside line and get ahead of Camille once again. So we're now back up to P14, and we kept DRS on the AlphaTauri up ahead. So not ideal in the sense that, I would like to have got that move done a bit earlier without any wing damage, but we're through nonetheless, and we set a personal best in the process, P6, which is good. And we can now stick with Benzabo here and try and close up to the cars up ahead, which is Tianyu Tang in the Haas, the Chinese F1 Esports champion. So here we are now onto lap 6, and this is when things start to get interesting. So we've got the first of the soft tyre guys pitting, so Corny and Nicolas Mateo in the pit lane. Therefore we move up into the top 12, and that's where the medium tyre strategy benefit really starts to come in. And I'm doing a good job just sticking with Benzabo here. No real dramas, the car was working well, and eventually Tianyu Tang actually dropped out of DRS range of the cars up ahead, and once that happened, he actually dropped off the pace quite a lot, and actually myself and Bence caught him up. We've now got James Baldwin and Danny Moreno in the pit lane as we move up into the top 10 now on lap 9. And at this point I was like, wow, okay, I'm actually really quick. The dry weather, I knew I had good pace from my practice with Jana Otmir, and I knew I was competitive, so this was actually surprising still to see. And you can see now the two guys up ahead battling away here, and I'm just going to watch from a distance, because again, I don't quite have the pace to get past these guys. It's annoying, because if I had a front wing, I would have been ahead of both of these guys, and I could have been running in P8 quite nicely. And with those medium tyres going to the inters, I think we would have been in a great position, because with the wet setup as well, knowing I'm going to have to pace later, that would have been great. Jana Otmir in the pit lane on that lap, the race leader. He was the last car on the soft tyres to pit. So we're now up to P9, and if I could just get past both of these guys, I'll be P7, which would be insane with wing damage. But unfortunately, that's not going to quite happen, because I just lacked a bit of straight line speed, as you'll see right here. I got a really good exit through the left-hander, but literally I'm not even making a dent on the straight to Tianyu Tang in front. So unfortunately, I quickly realised we just have to sit here and wait, basically, and that allowed Lucas and Veloce Hayes behind us to start to close in. You can see the gap 1.4. Eventually that went down to 7/10, and the rain was starting to fall here on lap 11, and we're going to box this lap. Simple as that. We're going to get those inters on. The team called me in, so we're going to respect the decision and make a pit stop here. I got very, very close to the Haas, as you'll see right about now as we slow the car down. I actually lost a bit of time in the process as my AI kind of corrected the car steering, but nonetheless, into the pit lane. And originally I made a mistake. I wasn't going to fix my wing. I was asking my Twitch chat if I should, and everyone said no, don't fix it, but I for some reason went the complete other way and ignored that, and I actually went for a wing change, which, to be fair, was going to help me a lot in these conditions. In the wet, we were going to need that front downforce, but it was going to cost me valuable seconds. 8.3 second stop. That was probably 6 seconds, just under 6 seconds, 5.8 more than what it should have been. So we've given away 5.8 seconds, and we've given up track position to Ruben Vallejo up the road in the Williams. So we have lost the place, but it looks like just the one, actually, which was quite surprising. We've got Jana Otmir behind us on intermediates, so we're going to see how that one goes, because of course we know how bloody fast he is in F1 Esports. But nonetheless, we're now going to go to the end on these tyres. That's what everyone's going to try and do. And you can see we've got more cars in the pit lane here who had to stay out one more lap, so we should gain a couple of places. And even though originally I didn't want to change my wing, it actually worked out okay because I was still P10, having had a wing change and given up pretty much 6 seconds. Still pretty in a good position. You know, we've got Anchor here, just 3.3 up the road. We've got Ruben 4.6 up the road. So maybe I could have been 2-3 places up the road, but besides that, we're looking pretty good. Anchor actually retired on lap 13. I'm guessing he sped into the pits or something. I've got some kind of time penalty, so that will give us P9 in this race. And we're looking pretty good. We've got Lucas UK ahead of Otmir, so I believe Lucas pit or undercut Jarno, and he's about a second behind us. And we was running in this little kind of train at the minute. I've got to make up the gap to the cars ahead. That was my target, so I started to push, and this little phase of the Grand Prix, you can see now the gap ahead is 4.4 seconds and 5.3 to Tang Yutang. And lap by lap, you're going to see that gap just start to come down. And I was flying. The pace on the inters with the wet setup was really, really good. And the conditions were getting worse. They were going towards heavy rain, and that's even better for me. So you can see the gap now below 3 seconds, and just constantly making up that lap time absolutely everywhere. And even though I was losing a lot on the straights, I was just so much quicker through the corners. You can see now we're 2.4 seconds behind Ruben up ahead. And there's actually quite a few cars. I think 3 cars up ahead of us. So we've got Ruben, Tian Yutang, and I believe it's Bentz in the AlphaTauri just in front. So there's a P6 up for grabs here if I can close in on these guys and make some more progress. And you see now the gap is still coming down. Meanwhile, behind us, Lucas and Jarno just behind me, you know. And as I say that, Jarno makes a move on Lucas UK there for P10. So we're now going to have the championship leader in the F1 Esports series right behind us, going on to the next few laps of the race as we get to the closing stages. Lap 21 though, you can see we're now on the back of these guys. Finally, we've made it. We've managed to recover about 6 seconds of that pit stop deficit, and we're now back in the mix. And tyre wear was looking a bit concerning. The left rear was not in a particularly great condition, I've got to say. You'll see more of that in a minute, but here we are then, lap 23, and this is when the race kind of got away from me a little bit here. So we've done the recovery, we've done all the hard work, we caught back up to Ruben, and I was, you know, feeling quite aggressive, but then right here you see I'll get a bit loose, making a bit of an error. That was my chance to really get the run on the Williams, but then I run wide, tactical. I decided, you know, take that track extension. I didn't mind it because I was on my that was my 4th warning. I still have 2 more until I get a penalty, and I was genuinely convinced I wouldn't get another one. But then right now you'll see through the right-hander here, I just cut the corner on the exit and I get another warning, which I didn't plan for. I really didn't mean that, and that really annoyed me because I thought I was more than comfortable in these conditions. I was really, really feeling it. And then to compile my misery, just 2 corners later, I get a bit loose as an oversteer and I pick up a time penalty. And yeah, that one really hurt because I took a tactical track extension earlier on in the lap and ended up getting 3 in 1 lap. So I've now got 6 seconds worth of time penalties to add to my time. But Ruben in front also has 6 seconds as well. So if I can just get past him on track, I'll keep the position. And here we are then, lap 24, another warning for track limits. I'm quicker than all 3 of these guys. You know, I've got the pace. It's just I lack the straight line speed to get the moves down the straight. So it was around this time where I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to roll the dice here and go for a bit of an aggressive move and try something a bit, you know, risky, because we need to get past now. I've got Otmir behind me, you know, giving me constant pressure. And he wasn't that close to me. He wasn't, you know, super, super close. I think he was saving tyres. He told me after the race. But here we go then. Through the bottom of the corner, this was my chance. So I send it down the inside of the Williams. I run a bit wide, a bit of contact as well for good measure. Bit of, you know, argy-bargy, but we keep it all well and good and clean. And then I pause it right here because it was at this point when I realised I effed up. My left rear, I could see it was 71%. And I already knew at this point when I saw this, I was not going to finish the race on these tyres. So my heart sunk a little bit because I was having such a good race. I was really, really enjoying it. But once I saw that, I was like, okay, it's game over. That's it, because the tyre was kicking in and I knew I was going to get a puncture. It was inevitable. I still kept on pushing though. I had a bit of fun, you know, got the elbows out, but eventually now lap 26, 2 laps to go, or a lap and a half to go. And this was the moment where it all fell apart. You can see in the bottom right, the tyre indicator is red, and there is the puncture running over the curb, and game over. Simple as that. I tried to keep with it, but the car was just a handful to drive. A nice little catch there on the exit, but we let Jan Otmir go. And yeah, I just pretty much brought the car back to the pit. So I tried to avoid holding people up, causing traffic. So I cut the corners, and therefore I picked up a few more penalties along the way. As a consequence of that, as you'll see there, 10-second time penalty, another warning for track limits. But, you know, I had to avoid all those cars, and now into the pit lane. I slowed the car down, but again, the game gave me another penalty because it kind of locked up under AI control. And yeah, basically I just stacked up on penalties, simple as that. We boxed, not a set of intermediates for the final lap. I wasn't going to retire, you know, we'll go to the flag and see the race through. But yeah, that is us now down in P18, and only Formula Kevin behind us, who of course is also a bloody quick driver. But there we go. It's going to be Fabrizio Donoso, aka Vitality Babyface in game, that's his name. But Fabrizio Donoso picks up the win, and we finish in P18 in my debut for ORL as a stand-in reserve driver. But you know what? I bloody enjoyed it. It was a cracking race, and you know, it's all about fine margins, and I really feel like had that race gone a bit differently, it could have been a good day for us. Now, looking on reflection, if you look at the race start, lap 1, if I hadn't got the wing damage, I could have probably been ahead of Tian Yu Tang and Bent heading into the pit stops. I could have then avoided a front wing change in the pit stops as well, which would have been 6 seconds up the road. And if you look where Bent's finished in P6 and Otmir in P7, I could have quite easily finished in 6th place today. My issue was the intermediates. You know, I realised far too late my tyre wear. If I'd realised earlier, I would have started to save, and that's the big reason why Jana Otmir didn't actually overtake me that quickly, and I was able to keep him behind. It's because Jana was actually saving tyres, and you can see why in the end, because my tyres let go. So yeah, pretty much it was my mistake. I didn't really clock. I thought it'd be comfortable to the end on intermediates, and once I looked on lap 24 or 25, it was already too late. I knew even if I saved tyres, it was too late. So I just went for it, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm a reserve driver. I'm not in the mix for the championship, so it means nothing to me. But having said that, I may very well sign up to this league, guys, in the next season. So keep your eyes peeled, because this is going to be very interesting. But guys, that is it for the race here today in ORL. It's Fabrizio Donoso picks up the win ahead of Alessio Di Capua, and then Veloce Hypers or Tomek Poradzic in 3rd place ahead of Mode Sweat. Nicolas Longue P5, Benz P6 ahead of Jana Otmir, Camille Common, Ruben Vallejo and Tian Yu Tang round out the top 10. So there you go, guys. There are your race results for the race, and hopefully I'll be back soon. Whenever there's another chance for me to step in, I might try and give it a chance. The next one could be around Christmas time or December, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, subscribe for more content like this on the channel. League races weekly. I stream them every Sunday on my Twitch as well. And yeah, guys, also check out the 2 videos on your screen if you haven't seen them, and I'll see you all next time for next weekend's race in AOR as normal service resumes. And of course, myself as the championship leader, I'm going to try and extend my lead. So guys, take care, and it's goodbye from me.